Jeff, Ryan, let's have a good one today.
Let's do it.
Welcome to the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information, conversations, and education weekly.
Number one spot. She's back at it. Good
Yeah,
morning,
there
Lisa.
she goes.
Oh, happy Friday, Lisa. I hope you're doing well. Jeff, happy Friday, my friend. This week has been
It went by
full.
fast.
It went by fast. I don't. You know what? We always say that, but it surely did go by fast. Like I felt like Monday and Tuesday, it felt like it was gonna be a long week, and then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, was like, oh,
I kind of related to this scenario, which I lived, unfortunately. But when you're younger and you're waiting for your driver's license, it just seems like it's freaking like, I don't know, like 100 years away, and then finally you get your driver's license, and then you look at the old people, and you're like, man, that's so far off. And then you're old, and then you're like, damn, it's just like the time, in retrospect, when you look about like this past week, it seems like it took so long to get here. But when you, in retrospect, it's like that. I mean, it's when you're busy, it just absolutely flies.
Yeah, like even for me yesterday, like it was a long day. Like it was actually like a 12-hour day, but like I didn't feel it. Like I didn't like, oh my God, I'm looking at I wasn't looking at the clock yesterday. I had to tell myself I had to stop working. It's one of those things. I just want to say good morning.
I looked at it. I got 4 27-inch screens right in front of me right now, right? And you figure I've got 4 clocks.
Yeah.
And I hardly ever look at it. And I was just involved making phone calls, talking to customers, my partner. And then I look up and I was like, what the hell? I was like, wow. Hey, Scott, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah, welcome, Scott, man. I know I saw Scott yesterday on the I think DJ's podcast, great podcast that comes out on every 3:30. I think you're doing one, I think, soon, or
yeah. I'm gonna jump on. This afternoon at 1:00 on the Street Crew. It should be fun.
Awesome. Where can everybody check it out? Will you be posting it on your page, or where's it going to be?
No, Trey usually posts it. He puts it out there. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Like it's doing different things. So It's Friday. We're getting to our wins and our lessons. Let me just leave the comment here. Jeff, man, let's hear it, man. Let's hear it. Like you've had a busy week. Let's hear about your wins, my friend.
Well, the wins, more lanes, more work, all wins. It's like I was thinking about this, and it's really funny because I love this ad hoc. You know what we're going to talk about, and you try to think about the lessons and everything. I say it every week, lessons. When you're in this business for such a long time, the lessons come at you at such a veracity, at such a high rate of speed that when you get here where I am and you look back on your career and you think about the tons of lessons and the things that you absorbed that help you to get into this position right now, it's just so many of them that I can't really like drill into any one specific, because those lessons, and those lessons that you do learn over time, they're critical to your career. And it's how you respond to those issues and problems that come up when you go back to the lessons you've learned yesterday, if that makes any sense. Do I learn still? Of course, and I said this the last week when I check out other podcasts, Chris Jolly, Trey's podcasts, listening to people reading content out there. There's just so much that you can just read all day long. You just go into these certain things and people that you like reading content from, and you learn every day. I mean, I wish I could be more forthcoming in saying what are the lessons, but when you have so many of them, it's just very, very hard to like, drill into one. It's a different when you're in it for 30 years compared to somebody that's in it for 5. You're still learning, and they're trying to get to that next plateau and the next plateau. which gives me that knowledge, right? I wouldn't have the knowledge if I didn't have the lessons. I mean,
Go hand in
and
hand.
everybody grows from that, and I keep on saying lessons for other people would be to keep on reading, keep expanding your knowledge base, keep on chasing that niche, that customer, that mode, whatever you want to work in every single day. The more you learn, the better off you're going to be. I mean, that's the lesson for everybody out there. I know that lesson. That's why I try to do it every single morning, before I get on this podcast or when I talk to my partner. It's all lessons. It's all lessons. It's, you know what it is? I wouldn't say it's lessons, it's habits. It's
There we go. There we go. It's habits.
it's habits. It's daily habits that you get into that help you go throughout the day, knowing that you're in the logistics industry, knowing that you're going to get blindsided sometime during the day, something's going to come up, So, I mean, that's my best advice on that. How about you, man? I mean, I know you definitely have lessons all the time, but how about your wins? Let's start off with your wins and then go to your lessons.
Yeah, of course. And definitely start off everything you're kind of saying right now, it's a big reminder, everybody, like take a look at the 5 to 9 podcast that we had like earlier this week, because that was so beneficial. Like Jeff was like, it's not like he's clocking in at 9 o'clock in the morning and then like checking out at 5. Like this is not the industry for that. Like you want to kind of continuously learn. And for me, like, what wins for me is been the same thing. My communication's gotten better with my customers, prospects, my teams. I've been trying out a new way of messaging, video messaging quite a bit. It's actually been working. It's kind of connecting that human to human level. And you know what, for me, it's like bringing value. Data day is such a big day for me that I should be sending my clips every single, like our podcast every single day, but
Right.
I don't want to bug people, right? But Wednesday is the day that I personally like I think I took like 10 notes down and I clipped some. Like I didn't send them the whole thing, I just sent like maybe 10 to 20 clips, and I was like, hey, what are your thoughts on this? And we had a really good conversation, in terms of that. Connecting with a lot of viewers here, like it's been amazing to kind of see like the feedback. I
Yeah.
read something last night where it's so true, like your biggest supporters are like are strangers. And like I don't want to get into haters because I don't have haters or anything like that, but the other part of it was like, hey, your haters are the people that but yeah, just having really nice conversations with people who are watching it, they're finding value in it. And it's awesome. It's awesome to kind of see. um
Definitely.
Another big one for me has been gratitude. I've been, especially with like everything that's been going on, look at like Hurricane Ian, I'm looking at the videos, looking at everything like that, and just gratitude that I wake up and I get to do this for a living. Like I'm like, how blessed are we when we kind of think about it, right? Like
No, right,
we get
right.
to do what we want to do. And just having gratitude for that, Jeff. That's honestly my biggest wins for the week, to be honest.
Oh yeah, because it's like you basically have nobody to answer to. I mean, you are
Well, it's not even about
you are
that.
but the thing is, well, for me, right? I have
Yeah.
nobody that I answer to, and I can be my own worst enemy if I want it, right? I mean, it's the old adage: you get out of what you put into, right? So if you don't put too much into it, don't expect to get much out of it, right? So when you're on your own and you're developing something and building your business, you will work harder than you will work for any company out there. I guarantee it, because it's you. It's all about you and then your subordinates and your partners, because everything that you do
Mhm.
affects them. That's another lesson, So when you're in this industry and you get that mindset of positivity and drive and goals and objectives that need to be met, I'm telling you, I work harder than I've ever worked before when I was working for big companies. I mean,
Yeah.
I put a poll out there too, Ryan, the other day. It's like you think you're smart and you get all these accolades and praises from your bosses and associates and everything. So why don't you start your own business? What prevents people from starting their own business? What are they afraid of? If they're so good at what they do, what are they looking for on that other side? It's a huge question, really, when you think about it, right? You go to work, you get into your cubicle, your office, you have camaraderie with your fellow employees, bosses, etc. Is that it? Is that what people, drives them to stay in a corporate and they don't want to get out of it and go on their own. I mean, it's just it's a question. It really is. What stops people from
Yeah,
starting their own
I think a
business?
part of that, because I can talk a little bit about that too. Like it wasn't for me, but like like that financial security of having a salary coming in all the time, every 2 weeks, exactly what's gonna hit your bank account and everything like that. I think that stability of it, a lot of people, even for me, when I pulled a bungee cord and I moved over to agent, like I talked to Dan many times, I was, even though I was fine, like I was scared, like it was that uncertainty of, hey, no longer getting a paycheck every 2 weeks. Okay, got to make sure my bills, everything like that, and even things like, I don't know how it is in the States, but like things like, hey, if we want to make a big purchase, like in Canada, buy a house or buy a car and all that stuff, like a self-employed person is not looked as well as like somebody who makes a salary every 2 weeks, from the banks and from everything like that. So it kind of gets into that. That's my mindset a little bit when it kind of switched. But once I did it, it was the best thing I ever did, to be completely honest.
Yeah,
So
I mean, it's just like to your point, right? So you have the 9 to 5, or let's just say 8 to 6 if you're working for a company, right?
mhm,
So you're trying to make that money, and you're hearing complaints from your bosses. You need to do this, you need to do that, and everything. And now you're knocking it off. You're getting, to the next level. You're getting promoted. So obviously, you must be doing something right. So
mhm.
what would cause the fear from you to jump ship, start your own business? Because one thing, you're going to have even stronger drive. So why would you think you wouldn't make any money? If you're that good, would you think you wouldn't make any money?
It's a
You
great
know,
topic that you bring up, because even to answer that as well, like you look at non-competes. Like non-competes are a huge thing. I don't know how they are in the States, but they're a huge thing in
they're
Canada.
horrible.
They're like, it's, you just can't get away from that. So when somebody kind of goes off and like kind of starts something, like, to be completely honest, you gotta literally start at the beginning. You literally start from scratch, because you're gonna honor that contract. I'm a big believer in honoring whatever contract you
Sure.
sign, because you signed it to get there. Like
Yes.
you should be able to have your word. But let's get into the comments a little bit, because a lot of people kind of have their wins. I know Scott kind of brings up his win here for, I believe, Armstrong Transportation Group, the
Yep.
training 2 accounts for 2 new reps. That's amazing, and
Awesome.
celebrate those wins. That's
Yep.
amazing.
There you go.
Lisa kind of brings up freedom, like that's what we all want. We all want that freedom to do
Definitely.
what we want whenever we want, right? And leave a
Oh,
legacy. I know Lisa, she has kids. It's like the legacy of her being a mom for her kids. Being that example, even for you as well, Jeff. Like,
well,
um,
yeah. I mean, let's talk about Lisa, and I'm going to talk about her in a good way, right?
yeah,
So women have more pressure than men when you think about it, especially if they're single moms, or they're just moms, stay-at-home moms, or they're entrepreneurs with young kids.
yeah,
They're battling so much stuff when you think about it. They're trying to make a living. They're taking care of their kids. They're making lunch. They're doing beds. They're doing so much other stuff, and they don't get that appreciation that they really should get. And that's systemic. It's been going on for a long time. So when women start their own business, and they're their own entrepreneurs, and they start hiring people, that's awesome. I mean, that is really awesome. Us guys, we don't have that kind of stuff. Nothing comparable to that. So kudos to Lisa and doing this stuff, and her husband Chad. I mean, they're knocking it out, and they're doing a great job. And I talk to them every once in a while, and they're going down the right path. Everybody has to have that journey, but they are driven.
yeah, they're
That's
amazing. Like,
the difference.
what
They're
I got
driven, and they're
introduced.
going to succeed.
Yeah, and I got introduced to both Chad and Lisa this year, and like they're just great people. Like they just have like, like, and it just comes back to the point, like people that you don't know, like your strangers, they're like gonna be like part of a support circle, and it's like I've never met these people in person, but I feel like I know them. Even you, Jeff, like like
Right.
you and I have never met, and like honestly, I consider you a really really good friend, because
Yeah.
like I know I can reach out at any time, and things like that,
Anytime.
and at all. And I believe Scott brings up here his lesson for the week. Reps were able to oh God bless produce broker. I've had my stories, maybe that we'll say that for another episode, but when I first
Yeah,
started, it was
definitely. Hey, we know
produce
what? You know what?
brokers.
Here we go. Here we go. Let's get Scott on board.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Let's have Scott come on one of the podcasts, man. Love to
yeah,
have you there, Scott.
yeah, it'd be awesome. I know that you guys are gonna have that
Yeah, have a good
podcast
time.
today, which would be pretty awesome. So it's kind of getting back to it. I think that lessons, definitely lessons I've kind of learned this week as well is I'm continuously learning to detach from the outcome. I know we always kind of say, hey, control the controllables, detach, but yeah, literally detaching from the outcome, in terms of, hey, I make a call, make some kind of interaction. And what's been remedied for that for me is just doing more. you know, like
Yeah.
it's like don't get stuck. It's like don't send one email or don't send one video message or whatever and just like, oh, okay, let me twiddle my thumbs a little bit, you know. Let me send the other one. Let me focus on the next one, do research and better myself, right? So understanding that, you know, like, you know, that I'm a continuous work in progress is the
Mhm.
best thing that's worked for me. Definitely a lesson here. And just understanding and accepting that like I'm not for everybody. Whether it be my
No.
professional or personal life, just acknowledging that, you know, and I think that's really important for anybody that's kind of watching, you know, don't get tied up. Like Jeff, you've mentioned you work for big names, but sometimes these big names are don't get attached to those, you know, like don't think that,
No, no,
hey,
no, no.
they're everybody, you know, like
Hey,
everybody's gonna have their
let me
own
tell you
niche.
something there, Ryan. You know, if everybody did like you and I would never have met. You wouldn't be on this podcast, and you'd be on like a gazillion-dollar yacht sitting in the middle of Bora Bora somewhere.
How do
You
you know
know,
I'm not doing that right now? You know, how do you know I'm not? You know, like,
that's so funny.
yeah, that's you know what, and that's the one thing too, you know, like just continuously learning, continuously evolving. And like you said, the podcast things are amazing. For
Yeah.
you, Jeff, like I think I kind of wanted to touch on this because we kind of touched on it a little bit yesterday, but let's go into a little bit about what you've seen in like your change. Like I know, like we kind of when you hear from like the old school kind of people as well, they say like, hey, I used to fax stuff. I used to have to call people on like landlines. I used to have to like have them go to like payphones. I don't think I've seen a payphone in maybe like 10 years, you know? So
Oh,
in terms of kind of like in short notices, like how do you feel the evolution of our industry has been
oh my
as like
God.
a win and a lesson for you?
You know what? You ever hear that adage? If I knew this now back then, you ever heard that?
Yeah, I would have bought all the Apple stock, you know? So
Yeah, me too. But no, seriously, I've always been driven since I started this. Always wanted to outwork other people, and if I had the tools today, back then, I would be someplace much higher than this right
you'd
now.
be
I
on
mean,
the yacht in Bora Bora that you were just
I
talking
would
about.
be on that yacht. I would. I mean, that's the transition of this industry. You know, when you're going from literally paper to, you know, this to your computers and everything is at your fingertips in the snap just like that. I mean, it's so powerful, and yet we're still in the beginning because the evolution of the industry on the supply chain logistics. I still feel that we're still in beginning stages because they're working on so many different things from autonomous vehicles to AI to everything that people back 20 years ago, 30 years ago, you know, they didn't think of this kind of stuff. You know, they knew it was like the Jetsons. If anybody remembers the Jetsons, you know, they're all flying around in their cars and stuff, but now it's coming to reality, and it's just like, wow. So you got to accept that, you know. I mean, some people like here's the thing, right? They said, well, a lot of problems with the older folks is that they don't have adaptability. They don't like change. Well, that's bullshit. I mean,
Yeah.
at least for me, because I like learning. I mean, I like IT. I like doing all this stuff. I mean, because it makes my life simpler. So why wouldn't other folks, my age or a little younger, not want to have this technology? I mean, if you love what you do and you're embedded in it and you've been in it for a long time, man, more power to you. If you don't want to adapt and change and learn, get the hell out of the business, man. You don't belong in it. You don't want to succeed. You've already cut off your learning skills. I mean, this industry has no place for you. But if you're driven, you have that energy and you love what you do, man, you're gonna want to learn every damn thing out there. And if you don't, I feel sorry for you. Really, really. I mean, the evolution's incredible, Ryan. For people in their 30s and 40s, I'm telling you right now, if you saw what I saw back then, man, you would be absolutely blown away, completely blown away today. And I know where we're going. I mean, I just know it because I saw the evolution, man. It's incredible. There's so much good stuff coming down the pike. It's going to blow everybody's minds.
Well, you think about it too, right? Like the logistics industry is probably the biggest industry in the world. So why wouldn't
It-
there be evolution, right? Like, why would they be like 10 steps behind, like let's say using software from like the 90s, it has to be up to date. I remember hearing all the stories about, like faxing, like I was like, what is fax? Like I don't think I've ever sent a fax in my life and things like that. But, I think the evolution of there it's twofold, right? Because we're seeing from what I'm seeing as well is that we're seeing people think that it's a very easy industry. And then they get into it and then it's not, right? So that's the one portion of it. But then the ones who are students of the game and like you said, continuously learning. And there's a point that you made just now that you kind of said like if like old people or anything like that. Hey, everyone has a cell phone, like who would have thought, like having a cell phone, having an iPhone in your pocket. Like my parents use the crap out of their phone, and they love it and it makes their
yeah.
day better, right? So why wouldn't you want to do that? I feel like gone are the days that, hey, we'll get this like 500-page textbook and read through it, read through it, read through it. It's like, no, 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 we're gonna have those real life examples. And there's a lot of stuff Jeff, I know you're gonna completely agree with this. There's a lot of stuff in our industry you can't learn in books, you can't learn in a podcast,
Oh, you
you can't
can't.
learn. You gotta, like you've always mentioned the first week I was here, and you always advocate for is like go with a driver, see what their day looks
Yes.
like, and
Yes, yes,
it's
yes. I mean, people talk shit. I'll just be blunt.
mhm,
That they know everything. Let me tell you something. You don't know much at all if you don't go
no,
for a ride with a driver and you understand the issues that they face and the a-holes that they deal with on the road all the times and why there's so many different issues with deliveries and pickups and everything like that. I mean, seriously, guys, you know, get off your asses, go into a warehouse, go into a DC and understand how an operation works. You're not going to learn it in one day, but it's going to give you a better perspective. And if you can, and if your boss allows you to do it, jump in a truck, go on a local delivery. If you can go on a long haul, do it. That's the best. You can't learn this in school. You cannot learn this in school. It's simply impossible. Get your hands dirty. Get in it. Load a truck. How about that? Go in there and load a truck. I broke my fingers loading trucks when I first started. I drove a forklift. I did warehouse RFIs. The radio frequency inventories. I mean, you just name it, I did it because that's what I wanted to learn. I wanted to learn everything about the industry to make me who I am today. And that's why I'm a strong advocate that if you want to learn and you want to learn well, do it. Do what I just said. Get in there, load a truck, Um, it's the only way you're going to learn. They can't teach you that in school. I'll tell you that right now.
yeah, 100%. And like even like through co-op, I actually took a look this couple weeks ago because um for me when I got in the industry, there was like really no certificate. Like I don't know how it like I would assume it's the same, but like to become like a broker or anything like a salesman or like that, there's no like certifications you need or anything like that. There's no nothing, like you just kind of get into it and you kind of go to it, right? But I was kind of looking at some supply chain programs at our local colleges and universities, and it's crazy the evolution, like as we're talking about evolution, like where we came from, like they're actually having things about this because every person you talk to, Jeff, everybody has a story of, I don't think I've met one person in this industry who got into it because, hey, I went to school for this. This is what I wanted to do. Like for me, I took accounting in college and I was gonna go through the accounting route, and then I was like, this is not for me. And then I
Right.
found this by chance. I completely found this industry by chance. So I think as evolution kind of goes up, graduates are gonna look at that as well, and kind of be like, okay, maybe this is a career for me because, like I was saying yesterday, like I can't see myself doing something else. Like this is it for me for the rest of my career, other than like I said, dog rescue and all that stuff. But at the end of the day,
Yeah.
this is actually going to fund like having a dog rescue and like that, right? So for you, like where do you kind of see like the next, like I know you can kind of see things, and one thing I really appreciate about you is like during the pandemic I always saw your posts about talking about like the intermodal stuff in like China and all those shutdowns and stuff like that. Those are things that I wouldn't personally participate, I would pay attention to, but you brought that and then it like opened up a conversation of like, okay, well, if things are coming slow here, we got to figure out what's the main source of the issue, right? And I do appreciate that you actually get going through that.
Right, right. And that's a whole horse of a different color, and there's not enough time in the day to discuss it in great details. But those are the kind of things that you need to do on the research side so that you can prepare your customers and prospects on the inevitable. It's going to happen. You saw it, Dean Croak said the same thing on that, as well as many others. What we were going to expect, and the disruptions that was going to cause in the supply chain. It's just, you know, you got to do that kind of stuff. And just to get back to, have I, I just want to say this: have I been successful my whole career? No, man, I failed miserably, and it sucked. It really did. It really, really, really sucked. But did I learn something from it? You damn straight I did. But I had those mentors and those coaches and great bosses that picked me up by the back of my shirt. It dragged me through the freaking weeds, told me exactly what I needed to do, not exactly how to do it, but what I needed to do. And it changed my whole career. We're going back 20, 25, 30 years. And, once you get into that mainstream, you actually understand what you like to do. Follow that, man. Follow that dream. Follow that road. Follow that path, because that's the path that you need to stay on, and don't divert from it, because then it starts getting all jumble and all over the place. Just stay in your lane. But I failed miserably. Have I always been successful? Hell no, no way. But like I said, my bosses that I had definitely helped me and got me to where I am. And I took the leap of faith, starting my own business, because I had faith in me, God. And I just took a jump. And so that's why I talked about, the China and the intermodal and all the different kinds of modes. Am I an expert at any one? Hell no, I don't want to be, because you get pigeonholed in the supply chain. So, I mean, that's my advice. However you want to do it, take it. That's fine by me. You got to make those decisions, not me. But I can try to help you a little bit.
100%. And I think there's no better, there's nothing more that we can really say, that is better to end off there, because, bet on yourself, stay in your lane, and then, you'll get to where you kind of want to get to. Jeff, I actually want to kind of divert a little bit.
Yeah.
Today in Canada is actually Truth and Reconciliation Day.
Yeah,
It's
I read
actually
something about that. I read your post.
Yeah, so today is actually a pretty so, and in schools, it's called Orange Shirt Day. A lot of kids are wearing orange shirts to basically commemorate basically Native kids who were basically forced into like government church-run schools, and they never came back home.
Wow.
There's, for the past couple of years, there's been a lot of mass graves that have been found of like kids. Like it's actually really sad. And
It is.
I'm not trying to, we're not to put blame, but today's a day to recognize for us, like we wearing the color orange and participating with natives, aboriginals. I don't know if you've seen this, and this is specifically to logistics, but if you see the prices of like regular like grocery items like in the native reserves, it's ridiculous. Like a case of 24 because of the logistics that it takes to get there. But like a case of 24 bottles of water is like $25. Like think about that. And it's really sad. So today's a day to recognize the pain, the suffering that they kind of went through, and understand with them and come together as a community. For us, it's not just one day and you just kind of forget about it, but participate, support local aboriginals, products, anything like that, support them, and even have conversation. Even if you don't know anything about it, read up on it and get educated on it, because it's unfortunate. It's extremely unfortunate what happened to those kids. But yeah, it's a day to definitely remember them and understand what happened on their life.
Do they are you planning on doing like a fundraiser? Do they have these kind of events throughout the year for these individuals?
Yeah, so what they did, so for us, like you can always, there's Every Child Matters is kind of like the slogan that they kind of have, and they sell like these orange T-shirts, and they go back to Aboriginals. This week and actually tomorrow, there's going to be a Aboriginal expo, a fair, with
Oh,
all vendors that are all Aboriginal, and it's going to be based in Mississauga, Ontario, and we're gonna go there for a little bit and support and definitely spend our money there, And
hopefully they get a good attendance to help them out. That would be wonderful.
yeah, they're definitely gonna get. They've had really really good attendance, and it's today. Even today, I listened to the radio before we come on, and even our regular hosts, they weren't on today. It was just they were just playing Aboriginal music and having like in between music, they would just have like a verbiage of like things like that to awareness. So we are going in the right direction with it. We still have a lot to go, but at the end of the day, it's days like this that hey, we need to sit down and reflect on that. So
Yeah. You're a good man, Ryan. Good for you, man. That's good
thank
that you're chipping in and doing what you can to help these people out. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome. And with that being said, once again, what time is your podcast going to be on with Trey today?
With Trey, I believe it starts at 1 p.m. it's a good show, man. It's fun.
Yeah, definitely check it out. Jeff always has some great insight. We'll be back here next week. Tuesday, we have John Brewer showing up with us on Client
Can't
Tuesdays.
wait for that.
That's going to be amazing. Definitely get your questions prepared. Shoot them over to me or Jeff if you have any questions for John, and then we'll get those answered during the show. I don't even think like 30 minutes to an hour is enough for all the value that he's going to give us. But today, it's been an amazing week. Definitely, we're going to hit the replay again at 12 p.m. Eastern time and 3 p.m. Eastern time on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook as well. I want to thank everybody who's been out here this week. You guys have been amazing. Everyone who's reached out. It's been a great week for just positivity and kind of getting to the next level. Jeff, any kind of hit us with a takeaway before we let everybody go here?
Hey, everybody, thank you very much for joining the podcast. We appreciate it for sure. Hope everybody has a really good weekend, and we'll see you next week. Thank you so much.
All right, take care, everybody.
Centurion Trucking, our motto is people before profit. Today's market requires more transparency, consistency, and focus on what our clients need to win. Centurion Trucking and American Logistics are poised to help their clients achieve and surpass their targets. If you're looking for a team that honors your needs, dreams, and aspirations, then get a hold of Daman at American Logistics or Centurion Trucking and start